Hello and welcome to the Energy Expansion Podcast. I am your host, Dani Kenney. If you're new here, we are overjoyed to have you and to share this space with you. If you're one of our longtime loyal listeners, thanks for coming back again and again. You are in for a treat. Oh my goodness. And when I'm thinking about last week's episode, we talked all about what it means to be an empath and a highly sensitive person. And I shared one of my all-time favorite energetic practices with you. I actually shared two, but often when I do them, I weave them together. And I did that this morning. I've been doing it every morning. I'm on a little bit of a kick with this, and I'm going to weave that into today's conversation. But it's really fun and a little funny because I took a lot of time preparing for last week's episode, gathering information, looking at different studies and statistics and making sure I had the names of researchers and doctors correct because I wanted to give you really accurate information with the context of that conversation. I always want to give you really accurate information, but if I'm being completely honest, most of what I share here is my own experience personally and professionally, my experience with clients and how powerful the work that I do is and what that makes possible. And there is nothing more accurate than my own interpretation of that. But sometimes, like last week, we'll dive into certain topics or we'll touch on things where I've got a feeling, I know intuitively what that means to me, but there are broader terms and there's actually research and science that backs, literally everything we talk about. But most of the time, my perspective is solid enough and I don't feel like we need to have a ton of notes. And we did last week, and I received a ton of amazing feedback from a lot of you. So I'm glad that you loved it. And I'm sharing that with you because we're swinging the pendulum. We're going from one end of the spectrum all the way back over where, if you can tell by the sound and the vibration of my voice, I am very energized today. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling very excited. I'm feeling very inspired to be here with you. And I don't have a whole lot of notes, which these are often the best. We're just going to do this really powerful, intuitive riff. And as we dive in, I want to be really honest with you. This is part of a pattern that I noticed recently that shows up that I had never really consciously been aware of, had never really been illuminated. And it ties into how I show up, mostly professionally, maybe a little bit personally. And so I almost skipped this episode. We almost took a break from releasing a new episode this week because I typically do not batch record content. I never really truly have. What's interesting is when we first launched the podcast, it was so funny. I was once a month meeting with the women inside of Energy Expansion Academy, and I would record these bonus sessions with them. And I called them our live podcast recordings. I didn't even know what our podcast was going to be called. Deep down, I didn't even know if I was ever going to release a podcast, but I figured it would be a good idea to have a few episodes ready to go. And so when I think of batch recording, I think of recording, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 episodes in one sitting. So my version of batch recording was recording one episode per month for 12 months. I literally just recorded one per month. And then at the very end of that year, I decided to release the podcast. And so I was able to trickle some of those out. But aside from those first dozen episodes, and I didn't even release them in order. Like I had backstock and then I was recording some live. If I'm being completely honest, batching things like sitting down to create content for the next month or 2 months or 3 months, I actually know that works really well for a lot of people. So I'm not knocking it. I'm actually a bit jealous of people who can do that with ease because I want to be the person who batch records content, who batch creates. We can also attribute it maybe to my human design as a 1-3 manifesting generator, where I have to feel the thing in my body and create it then and there. And then in the moment of creation is also the moment I want to share it. There's something that has always felt a little bit off for me personally in my own creation process around creating something today when it's really alive and then sharing it 1 month from today. Because 1 month from today, there's going to be something totally different that I'm really lit up about. Are you with me on that? So I just want to say that if you are able to and you love batch creation and that works for you, keep it, my friend. I know that it works for a lot of people. It's just, I've been in business for now almost 13 years, and I've been in the online space consistently for probably 10 of those 13 years. And this is something I've tried to do so many times and it doesn't work very well. So, all of that being said, I create these episodes and then release them almost immediately. Like this episode is being recorded on a Tuesday and our new episode drop day is Wednesday. So you're going to receive this in less than 24 hours. And there's something really fun about that for me. But all of that being said, the kids and I just got back from a long weekend away. We took a 4-day weekend. I was driving from San Diego, where we live, Southern California, all the way up to Northern California, like the San Francisco Bay Area. It is, I want to say, roughly an 8-hour drive. If you make really good timing, you could do it in like 7.5. Yesterday, we sort of lollygagged. We made a lot of stops. I had my 3 kids. It was just me. My husband wasn't able to come because he had a golf tournament out of town. So it was me, my 3 kids, and our little fur baby, our dog, Kona, which meant more water breaks, snack breaks, potty breaks than we would normally take. And so not only did we get a late start to this week, but the rest of this week is jam-packed with the most amazing things. When I look at my calendar for this week, I am filled with so much excitement and so much gratitude. I will be leading one of our longtime DKC clients through a full breakthrough day here at my home tomorrow. And there's a lot of love and energy and prep that I like to pour into that. And so all of that being said, there was a part of me that thought, you know what, let's just skip this week, which would have been fine. I know that you would have understood that, but a little bit earlier on in the episode, I was talking about a pattern. I want to come back to that pattern really quickly. And it's this pattern around, it was totally subconscious. I did not realize that it was at play, but I'm going to share it with you because it's a very human experience. And the way that it was showing up for me was, in order for me to do something, the circumstances, like the external pieces, had to be just right. And if I wasn't able to record my podcast at my normal time, that was a reason to not do it. And the other thing too is, with the nature of my schedule today, this is going to have to be, I'm going to laugh because I always say if something's going to be brief or shorter than usual, it's usually not. It's usually just as long or longer than usual. But I was like, I think today's podcast episode is only going to end up being able to be, 20 minutes instead of the usual 40 minutes. And I was noticing that I was using that as a reason to not do it. And so illuminating this a few weeks ago on a mastermind call for a mastermind that I am a participant in, I'm a client in, having this realization of like, oh, what are all of the ways that you overcomplicate things, Dani? That you try to insist that they have to be just right, just so, in order for them to work. And I actually don't want to do life or business that way anymore. I want more flexibility. I want more freedom and more spaciousness. I paused there because I have way more flexibility, way more freedom, and way more spaciousness than I once did. And I want even more. And I'm allowed to want that. And if I want that, then there's an invitation for me to create that, to look at what is going to make that possible. And so allowing there to be less rigidity, less rules, less this needs to be like that and this needs to be just so, in order for this thing to work or in order for me to be able to do it, I have to do it this way. I think that served me in a lot of ways for a really long time. I'm somebody who really values, the word excellence is coming to mind. Like, I want things to be done in a particular way. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Just like I was being as clear as I could around, like, there's nothing wrong with batch recording or batch creating content. However it is that you create things for your business, if that works for you, I love that for you. And I actually know that that works, right? Just might not work for me. And what I'm learning now, I'm actually having breakthroughs as I'm recording this. I am allowed to value and prioritize high quality and creating from a place of excellence without it needing to be overly complex, without the rigidity, without it feeling the way that it has felt for a really long time. And so that is what made me realize, you know what, Dani, you need to create this podcast episode. It's okay if it's a little bit different. If it's okay if it's more of a riff, which who are we kidding? Most of our podcast episodes have been a riff, and it's just how I roll and I love it. And a riff is probably downplaying what actually wants to come through, which is me being a channel. I prioritize having an open channel. What does that mean? I'm standing when I work, when I'm at my desk, when I'm recording episodes, 99.9% of the time, I'm standing up. I have a standing or an adjustable desk. Most of the time, it's in a standing position. And right now, I'm standing up tall and strong, and I have my feet planted firmly on the ground, and I'm bringing my energy and my attention up to the very top of my head. I have my hand here right now, which this is our energy center known as our crown chakra, our connection to God, universe, spirit, source, creator. And I allow whatever wants to flow through to flow through. One of my favorite prayers, I was talking about this with a group of women I was leading last week, very early on in my business, was use me. My favorite prayers are 2 words: use me, show me, thank you. There's probably more than that, but those are my 3 favorite 2-word prayers. Do not underestimate the power of a simple prayer. Use me, use me, use me. Less of me, God, more of you. Let me be a vehicle. Let me be a vessel for the work that wants to be done. I want you to use my words, to use my vibration, to use my energy, to use my presence to get in front of the people, more specifically, the heart-centered spiritual women and leaders who would benefit from whatever you would have me say, not what I want to say. What do you want me to say? And so I just had to go off on that little tangent there, because when I'm talking about a riff, what I'm actually talking about is channeling, being a clear, open channel for what wants to come through you. And so going back to this pattern of circumstances, I've got to be really honest with you, Pod Squad. I'm going to be traveling for the majority of July. I did the math, and I'm going to be away from home more days and nights than I'm actually going to be home. And I am pretty dang sure that as I am traveling with my kids and we do these annual family trips, one with my side of the family, one with my husband's side of the family, which I'm super grateful for, it just feels a little bit inconvenient when the trips are really close together. And I actually really don't like taking that much time off. Not because I feel like I can't or I'm not allowed to, but I genuinely love my work. I love my routines in my business and in my day-to-day life. And I love the way that my household is structured to support said routines. And so I am feeling a lot of feels right now. It's still early June. I've got about 2.5 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks before our whirlwind of back-to-back travels begins. But I'm sharing this with you because I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do with the podcast. We might take our version of a summer break. I say our version because I have 2 of my 3 kids are on summer break right now. And so we might take a summer break for the month of July, but something about that doesn't feel great. I don't want to take a summer break. And so this is me practicing, what does it look like to record a podcast episode when the circumstances look a little bit different? So we'll figure that out. We'll get there. I'll let you know when we get a little closer and need to actually make that decision. I'll give you a heads up, but I did not want to skip today's episode. And I want to be really mindful about the other places where I am using my external circumstances or things not being a certain way to stop me. I really did not realize that that was a thing. And it is for me, and it might be for you. And so I'm hoping that this feels like it's illuminating something. And that was not actually originally when I said, okay, we're going to record the podcast episode. That was not what it was going to be about, but it felt like that really wanted to come through. The thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about is not necessarily a new topic, but it's a goodie and it's a life-changing one. And I want to re-presence our DKC program, Momentum. Momentum, the 4-week self-paced experience. This program, this experience is so near and dear to my heart. I literally just brought my hand over my heart and now I'm getting a little bit emotional because if you didn't know, I created Momentum about 3 years ago. I had already built a very successful business. I think I was in business for about 8 or 9 years at that time, had reached some really incredible milestones within my business from impact and reach and the places we were invited to show up and speak and insane, mind-blowing income goals, consistent 10K months, 20K months. We had our first ever 30K month. So I'm just sharing this with you because we had built massive success leading up to the season when I created Momentum. And the thing that's really special about Momentum is it was the first program that I ever created because it was the thing I was needing. In short, I was about a year postpartum from having my third kiddo, my son River, and I had taken an intentional pause in my business. I had my consistent group coaching programs running. I had my regular one-on-one clients, but I wasn't really showing up. And again, this was intentional. This was a conversation that I sat down and I had with my husband before my son was even born, being really intentional, what kind of mom do I want to be for this little baby? And I feel like I was an incredible mother for my first daughter and my second daughter, but given the opportunity to have a redo or go back and do things differently, I would have. And I saw my son River as an opportunity to do that, to be more present, to worry less. I had set myself up for success in a way that we were able to do that financially, where I didn't really have that luxury so much when my daughters were little. My husband is amazing. He's very hardworking. And also our family and our lifestyle depends heavily on 2 incomes. And we've needed that from the get-go. And I feel good about that. And I love that. And my business means the literal world to me. And I grew up with a really hardworking single mom. And so having a career has always felt deeply important and meaningful to me. In human design, as a manifesting generator, my signature, which is another way of saying how you know you're in alignment, is satisfaction. And so having a career, having a purpose outside of the home is very, very deeply satisfying to me. I love being a mom. I love being a wife. I'm freaking obsessed, more obsessed right now in this moment, in this season than I think I've ever been. And also my life, my work outside of the home is honestly just as important to me. And so I was postpartum about a year and I was in a really dark season. And the period of time that we had agreed I would step back from my business, we were creeping up to sort of like the deadline. It was time for me to jump back in, and I did not know how I was going to do that. I have other podcast episodes where I take you into the depths of this story. I will link those in the show notes if you want to go back. But I had the opportunity because I had built so much success in my personal and my professional life. We want to be mindful when we talk about success. I'm using air quotations now because there is success according to the world, okay? But what's more important is success according to you. What's your definition of success? So when I say I had created a lot of success, I mean true success according to me, what felt good and right and aligned. And so what I had the opportunity to do, really unique opportunity, was I wasn't starting from scratch. There was no part of me that was like, well, I don't know what to do. But what I knew was being a mom of 3 and now having a not even 1-year-old on my hip. All right, love, real quick pause because I have to tell you about something that is truly life-changing. If you've been in my world for any amount of time, then there is a 99.9% chance that you have heard me talk about Energy Expansion Academy, which is my signature group coaching program where I teach the exact tools, rituals, mindset shifts, That helped me create a life that goes beyond my wildest dreams and has transformed the lives of hundreds of women that I've had the honor of serving. And for the first time ever, it is now available as a self-paced experience. That means you get to move through this powerful transformation on your own terms, in your own timing, and in full alignment with your life. This is for the woman who's ready to shift her energy, elevate her mindset, and finally become the most confident, fulfilled, and successful version of herself. Without the hustle, without the overwhelm, and without the second guessing. If you've been feeling the nudge to join us inside of EEA, then this, my love, is your sign. You'll find the link in the show notes or just DM me EEA on Instagram and I'll personally send it your way. Now, let's get back to the episode that you came for. There was an invitation to do things differently. There was an invitation to dramatically simplify. Remember at the beginning of this conversation, I shared with you I have this pattern to overcomplicate things. So simplifying things is not always what comes most naturally for me, but I was in a season of life where I did not have a choice. I had to simplify. And so I was able to look at what is the bare minimum. This is now my favorite question to ask. And the high achiever, the go-getter, the one in me who feels like she must be doing the absolute most at all times or else it doesn't count. This question makes her cringe, but this question also changed my life. So I'm going to invite you to ask yourself this question. What is the absolute bare minimum you can do while simultaneously getting the best results? What is the bare minimum, the bare bones, bare amount of effort, the least amount of effort you can do while simultaneously getting the absolute best results? I'm screaming over here. I'm giddy with excitement. Again, the one in me who's the overachiever doing the absolute most, she still lives within me. And she's like, stop saying that. Don't ask that question. And this other version of me that I've been able to meet over the years, who's like really thrives with simplicity and bare minimum and freedom and ease and effortlessness. Dare I say the word effortless? She loves this. She loves this for me and she loves this for you. And that was how I ultimately ended up creating Momentum, the 4-week experience. So there are a couple of pieces around momentum. There is the momentum formula, which is, again, ridiculously simple. And I love an alliteration. So we've got some S's here. It's show up, serve, and sell. That is the formula to success. Show up, serve, and sell. Show up is showing up for you first. This is a crucial part of the formula. This is a crucial part of success. There is a reason why this is the first part of the formula. Show up isn't necessarily about showing up for your audience or making a reel or going live. Yes, we'll talk about that later, but the show up in the show up, serve, and sell formula is showing up for you first before anyone else. This is a game changer, okay? Serve is how can you powerfully serve your people? And there is no shortage of ways to do that. And then sell is where are you leading your people? Every single day, if you are a business owner of any kind, I don't care what kind of business you have. If you have a product-based business or a service-based business, if you're online or if you're a brick and mortar, you need to be selling every single day if you want to be successful. If you're not selling, you don't have a business. I truly believe that. And so I love how ridiculously simple it is. And I really sat with and defined for myself what are all of the different ways I can choose to show up for me, first and foremost. What are all of the different ways? Like I've made exhaustive lists of what it means to show up, and then what it means to serve, and then what it means to sell. And I put all of this into the program, the 4-week experience called Momentum, and also created a nearly, I don't know off the top of my head and it's not right in front of me, but I want to say it's 20 pages. It might be a little more than that, to be honest. A 20-page workbook that breaks all of this down so that anyone can very quickly and easily fit this into their life. Like, really, this is me grabbing your hand and showing you the way, the simplest path to success. And the reason I'm talking about this is because it is summer, right? I just got done telling you our schedule's changing. My kids are on summer break. I might take summer break from the podcast, but I am personally guiding myself through the momentum formula every single day because it works. I'm not doing this for you or for anyone else. I mean, the byproduct is I get to bring you into the journey, but I'm doing this for me, my family, and my business first and foremost. And so, for example, show up for me today looked like waking up, and after doing my like quick things like brushing my teeth, doing all my bathroom things, I went and I sat back down in my bed. I did not lay down, but I sat down and I took myself through a self Reiki practice. I did Reiki healing on myself. And while I was doing Reiki healing, I did the 2 energetic practices that I taught at the very end of last week's episode. So you can actually weave that in. Some mornings I'll take myself through some of the guided audios directly from the momentum experience. So it changes every day. Other ways that I showed up for myself include a little bit of stretching. Most mornings I walk our local lake. I didn't get a chance to do that today, but that's another way that I show up for myself. Making my pretend coffee. It's like an herbal reishi mushroom focus blend, and making sure that I take my vitamins and my supplements, right? So those are ways that I showed up for myself today. How am I serving? Right now, being here, creating really high quality content. I'm also going to be serving one-on-one clients through voice notes that I send them, the Women Inside of Energy Expansion Academy as well. Serving can include you reaching out to and being in the lives and being of service to new people. But if you want to be really successful, making sure that you're taking impeccable care of the people who are around you right now, like that's really where you start. Have you fulfilled on the promises and commitments that you've made to the people that are currently a yes to you and your work? And then selling can take on many forms. So for me today, just for fun, right before I hit record on this podcast episode, I went on stories and I talked a little bit about me bringing people behind the journey of how I am going to show up for me, serve my people, and sell every single day, like what that's going to look like on a day-to-day basis. And I shared the link to Momentum so that people, if they wanted to play along, if they want to participate, they can. And here I am talking about it again, inviting you to join me. We have our Energy Expansion Academy self-paced ad. I love that. I sometimes forget that that's even in there, but it's like our own little DKC commercial, which I think is so fun. And so you might have already heard that on today's podcast episode. I think it goes on most of them. I don't actually know how that works. I'm so not tech savvy. I just have that, our little 1-minute commercial, and it will automatically add it to our episodes. I honestly just forgot about that until right now, but I love that that came to mind. And there are a few people who I had the opportunity to connect with last week who are interested in one-on-one coaching or are deciding between one-on-one coaching and Energy Expansion Academy. And so I'm going to be following up with 2 of those women today and 2 more of them tomorrow. So this is me, the one in me who does the absolute most. I don't know if you can tell, she's in the driver's seat today because she's doing multiple things to show up for herself. She's doing multiple things to really powerfully serve her people. And there are multiple pathways to sell. You don't have to do all of the things. You can literally choose one at a time. And so I wanted to give you a real life example of how am I integrating these things. So that's what it looks like for me right now. The invitation is to have you join me and the over 100 women who have said yes to Momentum and have gotten literally life-changing results. This experience has shifted the trajectory of so many women's lives and entire businesses, and the opportunity is for you to join us. When I first launched Momentum, I've rolled it out and offered it in different formats. And when we first rolled it out, it was $444. I later added like an extra level to it So people could purchase it and also get a one-on-one session for $888. Right now, you get lifetime access to Momentum, the 4-week experience, completely self-paced, meaning you get to go at it in whatever way works best for you for $88. It's not a month, literally one payment of $88. You get lifetime access to it. What happens when you say yes is you will be added to an email sequence. And so every day for 4 weeks, you'll get 5 days in a row, you'll get these bite-sized emails. It is so simple, so doable. It is impossible to fail at this. Success is inevitable when you go through this program in the way that I designed it just for you. So for 5 days in a row, you'll get daily bite-sized emails. We then take a 2-day break and let you integrate, maybe quote unquote, get caught up if you missed anything. And then again, 5 days in a row, you get these new, and they're different every single day. Every single day, I'm teaching you a different spiritual practice, something to help amplify your intuition, something to help you focus even more on yourself, to craft your own clear, aligned path forward that you can use for 4 weeks, or you can use for 4 months. You could even use for 4 years. And I mean that because this is something that I created a few years ago, and I consistently come back to this again and again. And I know that the over 100 women who have purchased it, many of them have told me that they come back to this again and again as well. And so you get the workbook, the full workbook with tons of bonus rituals and practices. You get the daily emails that we just talked about. You also get, this is relatively new, there's now a Momentum portal that you log into where everything is all in one place. This is the most accessible thing I've ever created, and simultaneously includes some of the most powerful practices and has generated the most insane results I've ever witnessed before. And so if this is something that you want to join me in, I will make sure that the link is in the show notes below. And the last thing I want to say before we wrap up is I offered last month a complimentary, it's technically not free. It's not open to the public. It's not open to just anybody, but a complimentary DKC coaching and community session specifically for current and past DKC, which is Dani Kenney coaching clients. And I'm offering another one this Friday. This is very time sensitive, June 12th. At 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 90 minutes. We're going to have a powerful opening conversation, some teachings, some shares. I'm going to be guiding you through a powerful breath work experience. And then we'll be doing some hot seat coaching, some somatic coaching and experiencing in real time. And so if you love the idea of getting to experience something like this together in community, to receive coaching and support directly from me, and you're not already a current or past DKC client, grabbing Momentum for $88 this Friday, that one experience is worth it alone without even having lifetime access to all of the goodness that you get with Momentum. So I'll pop the link in the show notes below. And if there's anything you want to share with me, my DMs are always open. Send me a message, send me a voice note. If this sparked something in you and made you think of another woman in your life, please feel free to share this episode. If you have not taken a moment to rate and review the podcast, that is always so helpful, means the world. And we will definitely see you next week. I don't know what we're going to be doing for July just yet. I haven't made that final decision, but we'll be back next week. See you then.